Hello and welcome to episode 43 of Throttle Stop Garage. Well, welcome back to another exciting episode of Throttle Stop Garage, where we find out just exactly how the project will be objectionable this week. So it's been a struggle once again. So I've been out here working like crazy for the last couple of weeks, just trying to get enough content together to tell some kind of a coherent story of what's been going on. And there isn't a whole lot of coherence to it, I'm afraid. It's been a ton of work, and it doesn't look like I'm getting anywhere. So actually, we're going to have a look at how exactly these projects can kind of do this to you. But in today's episode, the frame is out. I did get things tacked. I am recording this after, not before. So I do have some foreknowledge of all the nightmares that have happened. Lots of things got redone. And I'm catching things before they become problems in the rest of the build. So I'm still pretty okay with that. I'm not okay with the amount of progress that I'm getting right now. It's incredibly frustrating. But we're going to soldier on. Like, there's no other choice. What am I going to do? Just stop? Anyway, so let's get at it and have a look exactly at what we're going to get done. So at the start, the concept was to get the brake lines tested, to get the clutch line figured out, to get the frame pulled, and the weather's actually been really good. I was hoping to have this in primer by the weekend. Never ever make those kinds of plans in your own little mind. So everything that could go wrong kind of did go wrong. I changed the bracket design one more time. Thanks to some viewer comments, actually. I improved the design of the brake bracket, so thanks for that. And then I've worked away on getting the frame details sorted out. All day today. It's kind of funny, actually, how this is all panned out. But as I was pulling the frame out of the car, I discovered more problems. So anyway, without any further ado, let's get in and have a look at where we are in chronological sequence.
Alrighty, so we're going to get started by attaching some little tabs just to the side of these tabs. I learned with the spot welder that you have to sort of keep it going until it sparks, but not too much, then it blows out. So you have to be a bit careful with it, but not enough heat and it won't weld properly. Anyway, so little tabs go in. I'm just testing it against all the fittings that I know I'm going to need. Anyways, these are now done. Get those finished. Alright, now it's time to get those tabs mounted. So up we go onto the frame, the magnet on there, and just giving them a couple little MIG tacks, and then you can see I had to put them in at an angle there just to prevent the line from binding. Alright, notice the green flashing arrow. That floor part, that's where the pedal's attached. Notice how much I just moved it there? This is going to come back later. Anyway, so here I am struggling to get this thing welded on. Desperately trying not to have it in the right place. It's got to be nice and straight, or else it'll drive me crazy. Anyways, in it goes, and then I just dummied a line in real quickly just to make sure it goes over to the bell housing there. Perfect. On to the next adventure, which is the brake tees. So these tees are an ISO metric M12 bubble. That's the problem. I couldn't find one of these things with a mounting tab, so I had to make my own. So here we go, drilling some holes. It's not fun work, people. These tabs and brackets. It reminds me of Binky, right? I mean, every 5 seconds you're making a bracket. All right, in we go. Take the round holes, make them square, because that's a good use of your time. Anyway, and then oh yeah, I got to fabricate the actual piece that holds them down. So this is like a little top hat bracket. There's a couple of different ways to make it, so I thought I'd show you two. One, you can do it this way, sort of do each bend and then do the reverse bends, which are a little trickier, but not too hard to do. Or we can clamp the piece down to a piece of bar stock here and then just drift it in hard. So both worked just fine.
Alright, well, I'm pretty happy with the way these have turned out. So this is the brake tee, again, going in to hold the brake lines, but again, no clips. I couldn't find anything that had a clip. Now there might be one, but I don't care. Just another bracket, right? So there's the bracket finished up. I'm pretty happy with the way those turned out. So before I get the nuts welded onto the back side of the brackets, of course I have to get the mill scale off of these. And to get that done, lately I've been using the following. So these are a 3M, they're a purple disc. I guess I can put the link in the description below to how to find them. These things rip mill scale off. They don't thin out the metal, which is really good. They strip paint, and they're reasonably durable. The black ones aren't as durable, so I kind of was off them there for a while. But for mill scale removal, this I've found to be so far the best. So I'm going to get the mill scale just buffed off of all of those before I weld them on. Now I'm using stainless steel fasteners, right, on all of this stuff. So here's the stainless steel weld nuts. Again, they're little nuts. They've got a little registration dimple on them. So those are super handy. And then these are just getting little button machine screws. These are M4s. All right, so the problem is welding the mild steel and the stainless steel together. So you need a special welding rod to do that. So anyone that's interested, you can blast it in there with a MIG, that's fine. But if you're down at your local welding store and they appreciate the business, this is 309. So a 309 rod will, reasonably weld the stainless steel. It's what it's meant for. Stainless steel to steel. So I've got some 16th of that. I have like that's the last rod I have. Okay, so the last little issue that I'm going to deal with here with this bracket, as the T goes in, the fit's pretty good. You know, you saw as I formed that up, everything seemed to go pretty well. So I'm happy enough with the fit, like it's pretty much right on there. But there is a little bit of jiggle in it. So what I thought I would do is just put a couple of dimples on the top here. Just sort of one on either side. Again, this is only 1/2 inch or 12 millimeters wide. So put a couple of dimples in there. And to do that, we're going to take a ball bearing as the tool. And the die is going to once again be a socket. And I'm just going to put 2 dimples. What I want is for the bracket to sit just ever so slightly off so that it's clamped fully down. Okay, and then I'll finish off all of this. We'll round some corners. We got a fold here to put in so I can weld it on. And then we have to go back to the chassis, tack that thing in place. And then next up, you'll see it come out. Fantastic. For this 9mm socket, and that's just a random ball bearing I had. That's about the same size, so probably a 10mm ball. So I want 2 little dimples. So I'm going to set that up close to the edge, not right on the edge, but just close. I'm going to try to hold it there. I don't know how I'm going to do all this, and have it so that you can maybe see it. Really no different than how the dimple dies were made, or the dimpling was done. So now I'm going to just, with a little tension on it, I'm going to set that ball right where I want it, which is right over top of the socket. That's all we need. Just a couple little pokes. And then in this case, it's sort of 1, 2, 3, and that's done. Now the little bit of flare up that I'm getting here, it's no big deal just to fold that back down. Like the dimensions and everything are right. So then off that comes. 2 little dimples right on that part. They're not too bad even for spacing. They don't look as good on camera as they do in real life, but a little bit more distance towards the top. Anyway, so that's fine for that. It should work. And once that's bent back, it's going to sit about a 1/16 of an inch, I'd say. About a 1/16 of an inch proud of that surface, which is perfect for holding that down good and tight. Okay, let's get this wrapped up.
All right, the eagle-eyed viewers will already recognize that that is the wrong Allen key for those metric fasteners. Anyway, just getting the corners rounded off and getting everything nice. I didn't worry too much when I was fitting it up, but now they're good. All right, next up, before the frame gets pulled, I had to fix this transmission mount. I put it in a big rush last summer when I built the part, and I just needed to get it sort of squared away, make sure it was up tight and looking good and fitting well. So a couple more clecos go in, and then I wanted to get some clecos put into the actual frame rail itself so that I could get positive registration when it's out of here in the car and sitting up on the jig, so I can get it welded from the inside. All right, so it was just to show you how much fun that was. Now I've got my puppy assistant in to help me take the frame out. Weather's been good, so dog has been in and out of the garage. We have 2 dogs, but only the one will come into the garage, and he thinks he's a great help. Truthfully, he is. He's a good little mutt. Off comes the suspension, pulling the different bits and pieces here. It all needs to come out. Like this doesn't just happen in a minute. The jig's got to come apart, front and rear. So that's the front coming off. Here's the rear going down. Then we have to turn around and try to get the engine and the transmission supported because they're staying in while the rest of this nonsense comes out. All right, I'll let you just read through. I could not figure out for the life of me how come I couldn't get that steering rack out of there. I was so frustrated. So I just yoinked it out. Cheating's fine. We should try not to do it so often though. That's what gets you into trouble. You know, when you cheat putting things together and it's not the way it'll have to go, then you'll get it wrong. All right, frame comes out. Honestly, with everything stripped off of it, it's not that heavy. So I just lifted it up there onto the table, no big deal. And of course it hit everything, so I had to move some stuff off the table. And anyway, then I found that the trans mount, just from doing that little jiggling around, ended up with some big dents in it, so it wasn't strong enough. So I decided to reinforce the entire inside. So that meant cutting off the nuts that I'd put in before and getting some 4" by 2" tube, and then cutting all the angles and cutting the tube apart, welding the weld nuts to the inside. Again, this will then, that whole flat plate that you can see there to the top will then be welded to the floor. So that end section will be good and solid in there. So we got the square weld nuts, just TIG welding those in. And the one weld that's in on the side there is actually for the exhaust mount. So there's an exhaust mount that fits up in there at that point. All right, so we're just getting those things done. Then I have to get the tubes welded back together after these last tacks go in. This is incredibly tedious work, really. This is hours compressed into minutes. That's the way this stuff goes, right? You just go, hey, it's a transmission mount. So easy. Now when you have to fabricate every detail of it. Anyway, playing around with it here, just running these long TIGs, welds just to get this done. Get your hand supported, by the way, people. For those struggling to get your TIG to look good. 2 seconds worth of buffing and it's finished. Just repairing a few little problems that I'd encountered there. When I plasmaed out various sections of the floor, I just gouged into that part. Spot welder again. Quickly spot weld those pieces together. And then we'll mount up the reinforcing parts to the inside. But first I thought I'd prime them, except, you know, I'd clean the tip of the primer can out good enough last time. So that was back and forth 10 times with that red ketchup bottle is full of lacquer thinner. So when I was welding, I was thinking I should keep all my flammables right next to where I weld. You can see those in the frame. Safety third, people. Safety third. Now, I cheated before, and I didn't really notice it, but I put the bracket. So this is the top part of the bracket here. I put that top part of the bracket onto the car with the steering rack attached to it, so it just fits into these slots. I just plunked it on. When I built it, I was very careful about the placement of everything, so that the bolts needed to attach it can easily come up from below. So that's fine. As that one falls on the ground. But what I didn't account for is, well, I'll show you what I didn't account for. Here we are again, having a little closer look at the problem.
And it becomes a more obvious problem as, I mean, again, that bolt can easily go up and in. When I had it in the CAD system, when I designed the part, that was the main constraint, was that I could get the fastener inserted. When I had it in the car and I tried to take the rack off by unbolting it, then I discovered what my problem was, which was this works fine, but I can't get a wrench. Well, I can get a wrench, but I can't get a ratchet, right? So this comes out and it hits here, right there. So you can see I've got a black mark indicating where it hits. I can get a wrench in and tighten it up, but I can't get a ratchet in to torque it down. And on this side, on the driver's side, where the rack and pinion part actually goes, where the pinion goes, that drives the rack, then I was really having a bit of a struggle with that. So because there's it's a big boss right here, and it's really hard to get a wrench up and in. Now, this is the kind of stuff, hey, live and learn. When is this project ever gonna give me a break? So no breaks for me today. So instead of getting a bunch of important stuff done, we're gonna take a hole saw and we're gonna plunge right through that tube, and we're gonna try to get that angle as perfect as we can. And then I've got some tube to sleeve it all, and I'll weld in the sleeve. And then I think we're probably getting a little closer to being ready for all the final weld. All right, let's get to work. So that was the first hole saw, no teeth left. That was the second hole saw. It was brand spanking new when I put it in. No teeth left. So quick duck out to the store. 3 more hole saws, and hopefully I can get this little job done.
Alright, so with the holes drilled, it's time to get everything cleaned out, inside and out. And there's some, it's inch and 3/8 DOM tube. It's 120 wall if you're interested. And I spent a lot of time with this die grinder cutting it out. What happened in the end is that corner needed to, I needed to actually drill a hole more towards the front of the car, but I couldn't. So I had to then drill it where I could. And then when I fit that plate in, I still couldn't, the socket still wouldn't register nicely on the hole. So I had to move it out to get it. Anyway, and then I got that all fitted up. You can actually see me fixing parts of that, the cross tube here in a sec as I'm going around the back side of this. I spend a little bit of time there welding up the hole so the gap isn't quite so big. I'll grind that down and then do the finish weld on it. It'll be fine.
Okay, there it is, folks. The frame is sort of sitting on its side on the welding table, and all the bits and pieces are welded in. So most of today was just about getting these 2 tubes put in place. So they are actually the access points for the bolts that attach the steering rack to the car. Bolt mount plate, it fits on. And I think you can now see what the problem was. And I'm gonna give it a shot to focus. There's the focus. Sorry for the crap fitment, but this was a long day. Fitment wasn't perfect. That's actually perfect. We got it all done. It's all in. I got everything else tacked up. Okay, so that's the whole cane member is tacked. Everything else is tacked in place. Over here, that's the transmission mount. But it's all ready to go. It's been reinforced on the inside. So that's ready to go. And there's the foot mount plate here. And you can see you've now got that all brushed up and it's ready to be mounted as well. But unfortunate things that you can see, the clutch tab, once again, reappearing. It was in the wrong place. So that's just kind of the way this one's gone. We're hoping for better days coming up. All right, once again, that's a wrap for this episode. I've had enough. I need to actually get out of here for a little while. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm a glutton for punishment, but every once in a while, I just need to walk away. I could sit out here all night welding, but one thing I know, if you watch DeBoss Garage, you should watch Rich DeBoss on there, and he always says nothing good happens after 7 o'clock at night. Well, guess what time it is? It's 7 o'clock at night. The hockey game's on. Some things are more important than welding. That's hard to believe. But I know nothing good is going to come of it. I've been out here for 10 hours already today, and I've had enough. So that's going to have to sit and wait, and that'll be in the next episode for sure, because it's ready to get welded. So I can't think of anything else that really needs doing. At this point, actually, I can think of one other thing, but I'm not going to say it because it'll jinx me. Anyway, so that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. If you don't mind hitting the like button and hitting the little bell and maybe clicking on the subscribe thing, it really helps out the channel. 326 subscribers. So I'm happy that all of you come along. It's my motivation every week to get out here and actually get something done. Is I feel a little bit of extra pressure because I know there's people who are watching, and I hope that you're enjoying the gong show that is the build right now. Anyways, thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.